FreightWaves Sonar is the leading supply chain intelligence platform, but it impacts more than just pricing and transportation teams. Let's take a look at how it impacts the entire organization, starting with transportation.
Yeah. The shipper customers that I have, that I work with, they don't just use it in one little pigeonholed area of their operation. It's used across the supply chain portion of their organization as a whole. Kind of, for instance, looking here at our market dashboard, this is what's focused on those individual lanes. So those individual loads that these transportation managers are actually going out and getting covered on a day-to-day basis. They're able to go in here, look at what's the spot market rates, what can we get capacity for? Is this in the contract market? Let's see how the contract rates have changed over the course of time. What is our ability to buy like? Looking then at some of the tender data we have on the map and see what are the trends affecting our buy rates, our capacity, so on and so forth. So on a day-to-day basis, there's a need to be able to get in there, actually use the data to make operational decisions.
Sure. In the trenches here, this is at the ground level. All right, so next let's go up to the next level up at the sky level, looking overarching at the supply chain. And we have supply chain intelligence, SCI, looking holistically. How do they use this? Yeah,
so some of those same teams are also the ones that are facilitating the RFPs that they're using to create their process throughout the course of the year, throughout the course of the quarter, or whatever it be. But obviously, they're not the only ones that care about that RFP process. You've got your finance teams that are helping create budgets and forecasts as to what things might look like over the course of the next year. That's what something like SCI is for, to be able to go in and say, what are our opportunities? What are the risks associated with our current operations? And how might it affect us as we move throughout the year?
And we know that supply chain intelligence and supply chain data impacts those teams and the teams across the organization. But when I think about projecting the price of freight in a given lane, I can also think of the impacts on sales and on marketing and across the organization in other ways as they're pricing goods and they're pricing services and they're thinking proactively about how things will change. This data is then applied back to the business in those different ways as well, right?
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, being able to take and justify some of the decisions that you're making. I mean, we don't just put the data out there. We try to make it as pretty as possible. I mean, you've got this map here, things like that, being able to take this and present it to executive boards to be able to justify the decisions that you're making. If they come down with pressures of, hey, we have to cut cost or this or that, you can go in here and give them an idea of, here, this is what we can realistically do. This is what we can expect from our team.
And companies have used this to build out plans for new DCs and locations. They've adjusted their service plans and their carrier relationships based on the way that their supply chain is mapped out currently and projected in the future.
Yep, absolutely. And something else that we do is, we have a team of customer success managers, market experts, and we always try to do these quarterly business reviews with as many of our customers as we can to be able to bring in some of our market experts' knowledge into what's happening in these particular markets, and then overview the partnership and working with the customer success manager to figure out how can we help make your operations as good as possible. How else can we help, not just what you initially bought it for?
Sure. And so we've talked about the ground level. We talked about looking from a 30,000-foot view. Now, what about companies with an international perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got that covered too. In particular, we can go over to our container atlas to look at some of that.
Okay.
So looking here at our container atlas from the international side, focused on maritime side of things. So if you are an importer, if you're an exporter, if you have international supply chain where it's not necessarily all from the U.S. or to the U.S., being able to look at ocean container rates. So seeing what it costs in the spot market to be able to buy containers and get it moved from place to place on individual lanes, all the way to the supply and demand data. I know we talk about the supply and demand data with our full truckload stuff in particular. Again, we're implementing that high frequency data here within Sonar on the maritime side of things. So looking at things from the TEU booking volumes to delays, to transit times, to lead times, so the ability for the individual ports to get the product loaded onto the ships and leave, so on and so forth. All the way to, customs data looking at what we're seeing coming into these individual ports. So you as an organization can make your international decisions based on what's happening in the market, maybe reroute and things of that nature, figure out what costs are going to be on the international side, all the way down to what's going to happen in the full truckload.
Yeah, I can see how that would impact global purchasing teams and planning teams. again, customer service all the way down the line. So FreightWaves Sonar and supply chain intelligence, the largest data source in the industry, also has the broadest impact across your organization.